Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another OBS Adventures, a series in which we don't know what we're going to get. Could be good, could be bad, could be somewhere in between. And today's map is Star Station. So let's get to it, shall we? So our first game, we've only got 3 people in the random draw today. So let's see what happens. Got one of each race there, so this could be interesting. And we're going to get a ZVP between Crazy and Zen, and that Baneling just killed that Zealot. That was amusing. Anyways, since, as we know, the beginning of these games is somewhat uninteresting for the most part until something actually starts to happen, but, well, that happens, I guess. So let's try this one again, shall we? That's always amusing when they get in the game and the guy just completely disconnects. But hey, it's fine. So let's see what we're going to get this time. Looks like we're going to have a Terran. At least one Terran's going to be in there. So Terran versus Protoss. Alright, here we go. Crazy versus the Great Mook. And that Zealot just kind of starts hacking away at that Hellion. So, once again, today's map is Star Station. Let's see how this game sort of turns out, shall we? Who do we want to bet on today? Let's go with Crazy, and let's do about 500 on him. Wait, yes, about halfway. No. Why can't I even get this really to work properly for me? Yeah, close enough. There we go. They don't have enough minerals apparently, but well, that's fine. We can figure it out as we go along here. So, how are you today? Because, well, we're gonna have another... Oh, nope, not quite. He just decides to leave, which is alright. Frees up space in the game, makes the game run somewhat smoother. The last people are actually in here. I mean, we only have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people. Eight's a good number for these. Makes them not lag too much. So, what do we have coming down? We got our supply depots coming down, because it's pretty much, you know, the start of a game right now, so not too much has been going on yet. So, looks like he's trying to coach him on how to play Terran against himself. Interesting. I don't know if he knows how to play Terran or not. He might. I mean, the chat sort of is indicative that he's kind of not knowing what to do, but he seems to have quite some clue on what he's actually doing. He's getting his barracks up. Of course, walling off against a Protoss, it does work. It's not completely necessary though, but it is helpful at times, especially if they're going to go for a proxy Zealot rush, or even just like a proxy pylon and warp gate Zealots. The wall is kinda helpful, but for the most part, it's not entirely necessary. But I guess a lot of players, especially in the lower leagues, they sort of do it as habit, and looks like we're going to have another drop here, which is always annoying. Oh, no, he came back. He came back. So we've got our scouts coming out for both players, which Crazy is actually going to pick up knowing where he is, whereas the Great Mook, that's got to be offensive to something, but hey. What is a Mook anyways? I don't even know. It's some type of slang as far as I know. I might Google it later, but we'll see. He's going to get a nice look in to see what exactly his opponent's up to, because, well, the Protoss doesn't wall off, because against Terran, walling off doesn't really do anything. The only thing it really prevents is Hellions sort of running into your base. It's the only thing a wall off really prevents. So it looks like we've got a Zealot coming out. He's probably going to head somewhere down, most likely to the Zelnaga Tower, because the Zelnaga Towers on this map would actually be quite handy to hold, especially not so much, well, Yeah, this is a good one for Crazy to hold. Honestly, this one probably be good as well. But I think that holding them both would be much more useful than anything else because of this cross spawn here. Looks like you did kill an SCV, so we did strike the first blood, and we're getting a factory and a command center coming down for our Terran player, hoping to expand, whereas our Protoss player is already getting along to it. It's sort of what I was talking about at the very beginning, that we don't know what's going to happen in these games. They could be good, they could be bad, and indeed they could be somewhere between the two. Looks like we're going to get some early pressure down here, so this could be getting off in a little more interesting. The probe's actually going to get on the action too, for some strange reason. Drop a pylon somewhere. Come on, drop a pylon. Though you don't have... You're working on a warp gate, but... It's got the mothership core, so this is actually going to... Oh, there's the pylon, proxy pylon in the base. This is going to be a fun game. There's the SCVs off the line to kill that pylon. And... looks like he is kinda in a rough shape right now. If he takes these SCVs, well, he's got to kill this pylon, otherwise the warp's going to start coming in. Let's see what he can do now. Can he manage to fend this off? The answer is possibly, though it's not going very well. He's almost lost all of his workers, so this is actually going to be a relatively short game, unless... well, he can't get this starport finished with this Stalker here, because it's just going to keep picking off anything, because what he really needs to do is get some Marines out to deal with this mothership core. Of course, he's only got the one, and... did I bet on the right guy? I did, actually. Oh, he was off-raising? Oh, that's no fun. Oh well. So, let's see who's in the next game. But we're going to take a short commercial break, because I finally thought of an idea for this, so stick around. And we're back. Alright, let's see who's going to get in this next game. We had Great Mook winning, or losing, Crazy won the last game, so let's see who's going to be in this one. We're looking at maybe somebody else. Up, Cocoa Puff. Another Terran versus Protoss game. Hopefully this one goes somewhat... well, I wouldn't say a short game's a bad game, because you do learn from stuff like that. You learn exactly what the Protoss was sort of doing, sort of how to fend off what the one Zealot, one Stalker, one Mothership core sort of rush that our Protoss player did in the previous game. If our Terran player had maybe dropped a bunker or maybe a Marine, a couple more Marines behind his base. This is why I say walling off, it's not entirely useful. I mean, it does does help, but unfortunately he didn't quite get the wall up properly, and he let them right into the base, which is kind of the point of the wall. So some more bunkers, or like even a couple of bunkers, even some Marines, or even a Marauder would have been helpful, but you live and learn, that's right. That's basically it. I mean, you live to learn, and you learn to live, I think. I think that's how that goes. I'm not sure, I think I may have just made that up. Someone may have said it, I don't know, I've never actually heard it before, it just sort of popped into my head. I may have heard it, but I don't know, I can't remember anywhere where I would have, so... looks like our Protoss player may actually go for a very similar tactic. Of course, our Terran player on this time, he's not walling off his base. So we'll see how this happens, if he can manage to hold off this early aggression that I'm expecting to see from from Crazy here, because yeah, he looks like he's doing the exact same thing that he did in the previous game, which, hey, if it works, right? So let's take a look at the production tab, see where this probe's going to get off going. Looks like he's going to head out to scout. He's going to take the long way around and miss both places, so we'll see what happens. See, the Reaper versus the Protoss, I'm sort of just glancing at this chat here. Reapers are not entirely useless against Protoss. It does force the Stalker out, which most Protoss are going to get anyways, but you can generally get a Reaper before those Stalkers are coming out, so you can actually get the scouting information. Reapers are not entirely designed to kill things anymore. They're not really designed to harass the worker line. They can, but it requires a whole lot of micro that a lot of players, especially in the lower leagues, don't really have. They're much more effective at getting scouting information now, and by doing that, you can then prepare accordingly to what your opponent's doing. And he did actually manage to block this second gas here, so that's going to delay a little bit on what's going to happen, but looks like our Protoss player is still going for this Mothership Core Stalker 1 Zealot rush. Let's see if our Terran player can actually prepare for this. He's dropping 2 more barracks, which will probably be finished by the time this Zealot actually gets here. So, and let's see, because it'll definitely be interesting by the time the Stalker gets here. He's got to get his command center going down on the low ground. At this point, I would have liked to see a bunker, definitely, just to sort of help hold this line, because this is where he's going to be most vulnerable right now. Because if he loses, there's the bunker going down. So he may have heard me. I don't know. Of course, who's building it, and it's not going to quite be built by the time this is hitting. So it could have been done a little sooner. So we'll see what happens. He brings some SCVs off the line to sort of help with this defense, because he knows something is coming. So he's going to use the SCVs as cannon fodder to sort of fight off the Zealot and the Stalker, and these 5 Marines are actually probably going to clean this up quite nicely. So he's going to fend this off very well, hasn't lost anything yet. And this Stalker, and now the bunker's going to be finished, and these Stalkers are not going to be really able to get through this with this many Marines and the bunker here. So this rush pretty much failed. It did not do its job, and it did not do nearly enough damage as would have been, as our Protoss player would have liked. He is going to get some free shots off on these SCVs here with the Mothership Core, because the Marine's out of position. And these Stalkers are going to try to walk around, but this bunker is just going to, kind of shoot them away. There goes the Stalker. This Mothership Core is picking up some kills on the SCVs, but he's not going to get that much, because the Mules, especially with double command center with double orbital coming down, is completely going to fix that and keep the Terran's economy pretty much in the same method. And he hasn't decided to kill this refinery yet. So he's definitely hurting for gas. He throws down 3 more gateways, but at this point he's a little bit behind. He went into that rush, did not do any damage, and now our Terran player is allowed to get up there in his economy. He's short on work. He's only got 17 workers mining minerals, but he does have the mules, and he does manage to take out the Mothership Core. So that's a pretty nifty gas sink, especially since our Protoss player is only actually mining off 1 gas right now. He's getting his 3rd and 4th, but our Terran player can still actually see. Let's see what he can actually see from this. Yeah, he can't really see much. Can't see anything that's really going on because the building isn't finished yet, which is unfortunate. If he had finished it, it would have been interesting, but then it would have been a waste of total minerals, because right now, the way it is, he can actually just cancel it when it starts getting attacked and delay it even further without actually losing too much. Drops the scan to sort of confirm that there is a base here, whereas our Protoss player is again going to try to get down in here with these 2 Stalkers, but this Marine and this bunker and this many Marines, they're just not going to be able to deal with it. Yeah, but he is trying to scare this off. So we're having a little bit of a cat and mouse game with the Marines and the Stalkers here, seeing who can shoot who first. Manages to pick off 1 Marine, and then escape into the darkness, as Stalkers, I think they say. At least they should say that. Something in the shadows, running to the shadows, I think is what they say. I haven't really played that many Protoss, or I haven't played as Protoss all that much, so I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, looks like we got some Marauders coming out for our Terran player, which is good. It will help deal with these Stalkers, especially since he's going for double forge and he already has. He's going for 2 more gateways. So he's going to try to hit up the upgrades, hit up the ground army, hit up the gateway units, and try to sort of bust through what we have here. So I expect to see maybe some zealots, zealot legs. There's the zealots here, and started researching blink. Or actually, he already has zealot legs done, doesn't he? Excellent. That will be very helpful when dealing with the Marines, especially as he's going for the armor upgrade on the zealots. Some people go shields first, some people go armor first. Personally, I would say go armor first, since that is where most of the Protoss units have more health. With Stalkers, it doesn't really matter, because they have an even number of health on both the armor and the shields, whereas with Zealots, if you're going a ground army, the armor's a better upgrade, since it's going to last longer than the shield does as overall damage. Well, let's see, our Terran player is actually going to move out right now. He's going to probably just kill these 2 Stalkers before they can really do anything. And he can move out with this army of Marines and 3 Marauders and the medevac. Let's see if he does. He can't quite do a drop. I mean, he might be able to do a slight drop if he splits it and puts 8 Marines in the medevac and sort of rushes the front with the rest and then drops the Marines over here. But there's a bunch of Zealots here now, so it's not really going to help out. And we are getting an observer. Talking difficult, man. We are getting an observer coming out, and he's up to 6 gateways now. Get the scan to see what's in the front of the base, and he's got another medevac. He's got 2 medevacs, but there's a lot of zealots here. So if he can kite, of course, the prismatic. What is that? Prismatic alignment is what it's called? No, that's the void ray skill. Photon overcharge. That's what I'm thinking of. Kind of makes that a giant cannon, and these zealots are just going to clean this up completely. And there's the pickup. So he didn't lose all that much. But these zealots are going to try to engage again. Yeah. Can he get this pickup? Nope, not quite. So the zealots do manage to clean most of that up. He's going to go for an attack down here. Our third forces the cancel. He's got a lot of zealots. Of course, zealots are. Oh, what happened to that? Oh, they killed the bunker. So this command center is either going to become a planetary, or is going to just float it over here. Which building your bases as Terran, it's one of the nice things about Terran is you can do that. You can build your expansions in your base relatively safe, and then sort of float them over there. It delays their actual mining time because you have to fly it over there. But you do have a drop coming to the north. It's going to take out both forges, which is actually excellent. It takes out the upgrades. But we're going to have this counterattack coming into the south. The zealots are sort of cleaning house, and the stalkers are just completely being great fire support. And it looks like our Terran player may actually hold this line, because you bring the SCVs off, the Marauders are still going to chew through these stalkers with no problems whatsoever. And he still has that drop that just got cleaned up. But both forges went down. They were working on some upgrades, so it's going to delay the upgrades again. He's going to drop another gateway and the 2 forges and try to start those upgrades up again. He's got a lot of gas at this point, so I'd be hoping to see maybe a Colossus coming out if he does put down a robotics facility. Not a robotics facility, the, what am I looking at? That's Robotics Bay. They both say robotics. Alright. So, I would like to see that, because he does know that his opponent is doing a heavy infantry build. And he's going for these drops again, which also got cleaned up. So we've got an SCV, we've got a bunch of Marauders, and a couple Marines. They stim in a little early, in my opinion. I probably would have stimmed probably around here, just so they get the most effect of it. It's got 2 more gateways down here. This one's not a warp gate yet. There it goes. And where's his army? His army's not paying attention. Those gateways go down, that pylon goes down. This nexus is probably going to go down as well, because these Marauders are just going to chew through it before these support can actually get there. So the nexus goes down. That's going to really hurt our Protoss player. He's got a lot of Marauders, which are going to eat through these Stalkers quite easily. He doesn't have... He's still got 3 Stalkers and 3 Zealots down here, which he needed. Which, if he brought them up here, he might have been actually able to hold. and maybe do a little more damage. So our Terran player is going to retreat at this point with a solid victory there. Game's not over yet, but that was definitely a solid victory battle for our Terran player there. And he's going to try and move out to his third, which he can secure nicely because our Protoss player is going to be on the back on his heels, trying to catch up. And this is where a couple of Colossus... He's going for Dark Templar and High Templar. Doing them both is kind of interesting. Doing one or the other, it's not as interesting, I suppose. It does give you options, but again, against this kind of unit composition, and he does have a lot of built-up energy, for the most part. Well, not anymore. He still does have a scan available there, so if these Dark Templar do come out, he will actually be able to scan them. And so he does land the scan on the Archon, so that's what he may have been trying to just do by making the Dark Shrine and the Templar Archives, is to just get quick Archons, because Archons are remarkably effective against biological units as well. However, Colossus would have been a much better choice in this matter if you're going to go for a third tier unit. It's got a much better range and it can melt things quite a bit better than Archons can. And Archons are somewhat squishier, especially against this kind of Death Bowl, because they have to get really up close and personal to actually do that kind of damage. Now, if he had kept those as High Templar and then used the Storms, which most Protoss players will actually do, they won't make Archons until the Storm is completely used up. Because at that point, the High Templar are somewhat less useful because you need to wait for the energy to recharge. And it looks like our Terran player is actually going to push this out and see if he can end the game right here. Can our Protoss player get out a couple of Dark Templar and sort of even the score here? He's got one on the way, but is that going to be enough? Because does he have more scans available? No. Oh, he still does. He's got two scans available. So that Dark Templar is not going to be able to do it unless he doesn't pay attention. And right now, let's take a look. He's got 2 kills, 3. Let's see how much this Dark Templar can do. Because only one, you might not actually notice it's actually picking your army apart. But there it goes. He died at 5 kills though. So it was worth a shot. There's the GG. Solid game played by both players. And we'll see what happens next in this next particular one. So again, stick around. And we're back once again. And looks like we're going to have Cocoa Puff versus the Great Mook. And he doesn't like Terran, apparently. Even though he's playing Terran. We'll see. I still haven't decided if I'm actually going to do anything with those... those commercial breaks. I had an idea in my head. Might just be like a split. Something. I'll think of something eventually. Something cool, at least. Or amusing. Amusing's always good. I like amusing. I didn't bet on the last game, actually, did I? Oh well. Actually, I think I did. I think I bet on the wrong guy. Whatever. It's fine. So, let's take a look and see what we have coming down here. And apparently, Zerg is this guy's actual race that he's actually playing. No warp gate equal... okay. I don't really get that, but hey, whatever. Warp gate is amazing, don't get me wrong. It is like super awesome skill to have. So what do we have going down here? Yeah, inject lava. Lava injects are fantastic. But they do require a ton of micro to do, which is... I mean, it's fun, it ramps up your APM. It requires you to have good awareness of what you're doing, and because every 40 seconds you gotta be pumping in that inject, man, because otherwise you're gonna fall behind on your unit count, unless you have a ton of hatcheries like you would do in Brood War. What you would have, since inject lava did not exist until Starcraft 2, you'd make, you know, a bunch of hatcheries, just otherwise you didn't have the lava to produce your army to actually deal with things. And you know, I thought I had my language filter turned on, but apparently I don't. So I should probably do that, just because I'm a sensitive person. We'll go with that. It is turned on. What the bloody hell? That makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's turned on, yet it just completely just failed. Good job, mature language filter. Maybe I should send a bug report or something. But whatever. It's fine. We're all adults here. It's okay. Haven't had any kind of like stupid chat at least, which is always annoying. I mean, if it's said in, you know, an amusing way, or even any kind of like just by the by, it's fine. But if it's done in like a stupid way, and if they're being like a moron, then that's just not right. And looks like our Terran player's going for a CC after an early expansion from both players. Oh, this drone's gonna die though. The Marine manages to pick off the drone. And this SCV is going to come in and see that he's got his expansion up here. What's he going to do? He's going to then follow up into the base to check that he does have his spawning pool and has some gas. That drone was an adventurer. An adventurer that did not survive the trek back. Died far away from home, but oh well. Looks like our Terran player is actually going to go for a 3cc build. This is a fantastic build if you can get away with it. Mainly because it gives you a ton of money. However, it does leave you remarkably prone to getting rushed and getting early aggression, especially if your opponent sort of knows what they're doing and kind of finds out that you did a 3cc build. Especially against a Zerg. Because if they do have enough Zerglings, they can and you don't have a proper wall here, which our Terran player currently does not. If our Zerg player does manage to scout it at this point, I probably would have sent an Overlord. One of my earlier Overlords, I would have parked it right here, so around the 5-6 minute mark, I would have had it fly in here and sort of see what's going on. I would have picked up that, oh, he's gone 3cc. This means he doesn't have an army and he doesn't have a lot of barracks, so I can probably attack him in the next, 2 or 3 minutes with relative ease, if I have enough units, if I haven't been playing incredibly greedy, which most of the time I tend to do. And looks like that's what our current Zoo player is doing as well. He's getting his creep spread going, he's got the 2 queens dedicated to creep farming, he's getting a lot of minerals, not a lot of gas. So he's kind of waiting to see. He's going to go for his third base at the 6:30 mark, which is pretty standard if you want an early third for a Zerg in this kind of matchup. He does have the Zelnaga towers, so unless our Terran opponent decides to take the scenic route down by this Zelnaga tower for some strange reason, who knows, he might just like the view. I do like, it's actually kind of a nice map. It's kind of pretty. So he might, because it is a pretty map. But either way, he is probably going to be picked up by at least... Oh, this is not our Zerg player's Zelnaga tower, so the Terran does know that there is a third base here. And what is he going to do about that? First, he's going to go claim this Zelnaga tower. Because he tried to once before, and the 2 Zerglings probably killed it. And now he's going to send 3 Marines, clean it up, take the Zelnaga tower, and our Zerg player is going to be pretty much in the dark on what's going on now. He really needs to pick this up though, because he needs to know that his opponent knows that he has a third here. Because that's kind of a key piece of information. He's going to go back and try to war on this Zelnaga tower. Unfortunately, that means he's going to kill a fair number of these Zerglings, probably about 2 or 3, before they end up dying, just because they were on a nice little wall and you can't... Zerglings could not really get a surround, but he does manage to pick this back up, so he's keeping an eye to make sure that there's no third going down here. Which is okay. See, this is kind of a weird place for a third base, because most players would probably put it here, since it's easier to defend, and it's out of sight of the Zelnaga tower. Now, if you're trying to hide the fact that you have a third base, then I could understand doing this. However, the Zelnaga tower completely negates that point, so this is actually a rather risky play. If you really wanted to have a secret hiding third base, especially in this kind of matchup where you know where your opponent is, stick it bloody here, because they're probably not going to check this for quite some time, if at all. Do the ninja hiding bases. Those are always fun. They can pay off because people may not even go look for them because it's just completely obscure and out of the way. And we'll see. He does have a rather impressive creep spread going. He does have a bunch of fresh creep simmers, and where are those two? And he's got a fairly nice little tight wall in here. So if he stuck a queen right here, this would completely prevent Hellions getting into this base here. Of course, our Terran player isn't actually making Hellions. He's going for, again, a heavy Marine and a couple Marauders. No, mostly just Marines. Complete Marine build. Marine tank, very effective, very robust, very simple to use, because you pretty much just hug around the tanks, put them into siege mode, and away you go. However, let's see, he does have the centrifugal hooks coming in for the Banelings, which is going to kind of tear these Marines apart, because he does know, well actually he hasn't actually scattered this, come to think of it. So he doesn't really know what his opponent's building until this sort of rolls out and sees, oh well, there's a bunch of Marines and a tank here now. So now I can see what's going on. And there's a scan coming down to check sort of what the creep spread is at. But he still hit... Well, now he knows that there's something here, perhaps. Maybe. Because well, actually no, the creep won't actually see this yet. Well, now he does now, because the observers will see it. The overseers will see that there is a little SCV here, knows that there's completely a third base here. He's gunning a lot of Zerglings, couple of Banelings. Does he have anything else? No. He does not have a Roachhorn, does not have a Hydralisk Den. Does he even have... Well, he does have Lair Tech, because we saw the centrifugal hooks, but doesn't have any other kind of units. I mean, against Marines and tanks, Banelings and Zerglings can pretty much kill most of it. Especially if you have enough Banelings, and if the Terran player does not actually do anything. Like if they do a bad split, you can pretty much completely obliterate their army with a handful of Banelings. So we are getting the infestation pit coming down. With this kind of unit composition that he has right now, I'd be expecting to see infestors rather than swarm hosts, simply because you can then drop the green goo, which completely has slit my fungal growth. There we go. Slipped my mind there for a second. Yeah, no, and I play Zerg, jeez, can remember some of these skills. But you can dump the fungal growth on top of the Marines and then just send your Banelings in and clean it up. Which looks like he's going to do. He's going to go for Hive Tech, so he can also be going for Ultralisk, because he does have the Ultralisk upgrade sort of on the way. He's going 2-2 right now, getting the Hive Tech, and that's probably what he's going to be trying to get into, is get into some Ultralisks probably around the 18-minute mark, because this hive will be done and the Ultralisk cannon will be up. But it's going to have to deal with this impeding attack coming in right now. So well, there's the first split. Our Terran player split this army quite nicely. Let's see what he can do. Did he split it enough though? It doesn't look like it. Takes a lot of damage. He does have a bit of an army left over, but our Zerg player is pumping out 50 more Zerglings to sort of deal with this. By the time this army sort of gets into position anywhere, these 50 Zerglings are going to be on it and ripping it to shreds basically. That's one of the nice things about Zerglings, is they do kill a lot of stuff. You can use them for a really long time, especially against a Terran player that is going ground. Because there's just not much they can really do against a mass number of Zerglings. Especially if you do have your macro hatchery and 3 others, and you're getting a 4th base in a secret location that is probably not going to be noticed. He could go for his 5th right here, relatively safe, because he does have the creep spread that will kind of be an early warning signal. These creep timbers need to start going out further, but we'll see. And I just have some really strange hiccups right now. I don't know why. Making it hard to talk. Anyway, so I'll probably get a drink after this game, since it's getting late anyways, and I tend to only want to do, you know, maybe 3 games per Obs Adventures, just because anything more than that, it gets too long. It really does. I remember I tried to do one, and it was close to an hour and a half, and then I rewatched it again, and I was like, this is just too bloody long. Like, if I'm getting bored of it, honestly, someone else probably is too. So now, he doesn't have a whole lot of banelings in this army, but he does get a great surround on everything. And those tanks are just going to completely drop, because he's just got enough Zerglings, and they're 2-2 against, what kind of ground? 2-2 on the ground, on the infantry, and he's got level 1 weapons coming down for his tanks. And we do have the chitinous plating out. No, that's carapace. He's not actually... there's the Ultralisk cabin now. So we'll see if he gets the chitinous plating, which would be incredibly helpful. He does have the money for it. He's got a lot of money, actually. He's behind in supply, but that's because he's making a lot of Zerglings. And Zerglings don't take up that much supply. He's got 8 Ultralisks on the way, which completely fixes that, though. So it looks like our Zerg player may actually pull this one off if he can get another good engagement. That engagement that he had right here on the creep was actually fantastic. He may lose this. Oh, well, see, sometimes your secret bases don't work. It just happens that way. In which case, you know, your 4th would have been better here, but hey. And then maybe a 5th up here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, 10 health. And it... oh, that was so close. He could just almost lost this. And he does have the Ultralisk skin. I like the Ultralisk skin with this particular color. It actually looks rather neat. They got this pink lightning sort of coming off them. I think that's lightning. Something of it. So he's going to get another surround on these tanks well before that they can deploy. Our Terran player needs to start killing off these creep tumors. That is one of the biggest things that you must do when playing against a Zerg, is to kill their creep tumors. Because if you don't, and you try to engage on them, you are completely at a disadvantage, especially if they're using mobile units, like Zerglings, like Banelings, like Ultralisks. Everything that they have is moves incredibly quick on creep. Like, he's got on 2.95, and Zerglings have... where's one? Now, they move at 4.7 on creep. Like, you're just not going to get away from that. They're going to get your surround. They're going to surround your tanks, specifically. And the thing about Zerglings against tanks is they take up a lot... it takes a lot of shots to actually kill a Zergling. I know it says it does 38 damage, but it won't actually kill a Zergling, especially if they have the armor upgrade. And it also has a long sort of cooldown time. It's got a 3-second shot cooldown. So it takes a while to actually get around to killing something with tanks, especially to killing Zerglings, because there's a lot of them. And it's going to spread... with that many Zerglings, the damage is completely spread out. And now he's got a ton of Ultras. Holy damn. He's got 10 Ultralisks. Well, this game is going to be interesting. I'm actually going to take the safe bet and go with the Zerg player on this one. And we'll see what exactly happens in this particular matchup, but I think we know this Widowmine's not going to do much. It's going to poke it, it's going to tickle the Ultralisk, and this is just going to completely walk in and just butcher what's here. Hasn't lost an Ultralisk yet. And there's not much our Terran player can actually do against this anymore. He probably can't get anything out that will sort of help. The only thing that really helps against Ultralisks that Terran has is a lot of Marauders. And I mean a lot. You need a ton of Marauders to actually deal with this. Or a bunch of Banshees, because Ultralisks can't kill them, though. It wouldn't be rather amusing if the Ultralisks could just kind of... because they're so big anyways, that if they would, like, grab them, that would be rather amusing. And there's the GG, but we sort of saw that one coming. And since I'm getting kind of tired, and we've actually had a couple of good games, I'm going to call it a night. So, as always, good luck out there. My name is Stark, and I shall see you next time.